Africa.
Welcome back. At 12:30, we'll be speaking to Yunus Mohammed directly out of Brisbane on this morning's mid-morning talk with Najma Khota. We seem to be traveling to quite a bit far to the east and southern east of the globe. I'm so pleased to welcome our very special guest this morning, Farhana Bhamjee, talking to us live from New Zealand. Farhana, assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Walaikum salam. Thank you, Najma. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Farhana, we need to firstly thank you very much for making the time, because I know it's 10 o'clock in your part of the world.
Yes, it's already 10 p.m. We're getting wind down for the evening and ready to go to bed. The kids are off to bed, thank goodness.
Okay, so Muslims who live in southern countries like New Zealand fast for Ramadan at least 12 hours. Is that the amount of time you're fasting currently?
Gee, at the moment we're fasting 13 hours, which isn't too bad. We're expecting longer hours during the summer. We just had daylight saving, which reversed. So the first week was a bit longer. Maghrib was about 7:30. Currently, we're breaking fast just before 6 p.m. So the days have shortened significantly.
Mm-hmm. So you've lived in New Zealand for a while now. How many years is it that you are there now for?
Going on to 9 years. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's been a while.
Yeah. So in terms of the South African diaspora, since we have a lot of viewers in South Africa, um, is there a strong cultural, togetherness there as such in terms of the South African diaspora?
Yes. So when I came here first 9 years ago, there wasn't much in terms of the community. There were a lot of people that had been here for a very long time. Recently, though, that has changed, especially post-COVID. In the last 3 years, there's been a massive influx of South Africans. I honestly cannot keep up. Alhamdulillah, everyone is almost looking out for each other. So we have created a good sense of community. Um, yeah, there's quite a few of us. And like I said, there's families coming in on a weekly basis.
Mhm. What's interesting is that New Zealand is the first, Islam is the third fastest growing religion in New Zealand. So I'm sure, have you witnessed a growth, in your space?
Absolutely. I mean, just in terms of natural growth, migration, people coming into the country, there's been so many people, but also the organic growth, like people converting to Islam. It's the fastest growing religion in terms of the Maori, which is a local community. We
Hmm.
have a massive following. There's been a lot of interest in Islam post March 15th, 2019, after what we went through.
Right.
I guess there's always light in darkness that can be found in darkness. And that was one of the things that came out of there. You know, people actually started researching. There was an interest, especially once people witnessed the response of the Muslims to what happened. Yeah.
Mm. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to touch on it. Now, it is comparatively a small population of Muslims. How proactive are they in the preservation of Islamic values and practice?
Yes, very small population. We're probably about 60,000 in a population of 5 million, but you will
Mm.
definitely see us and notice us around. Women very proudly wear the hijab. There's mosques everywhere. There's lots of madrasas. And we as a Muslim community are very strong in our faith. We walk with it very proudly on our shoulders. As parents, we advocate for it on behalf of our children at schools to make sure that they're included. So we're definitely trying to make sure that we are included as much as possible in the general New Zealand sort of culture.
Hmm. How does it compare, if you can remember what it was like in South Africa?
Oh, so different. I mean, it's been a long time, but to be honest, nothing compares to South Africa. Alhamdulillah, what you have there is a culmination of many years and generation of work. You know, people have put in that work, and that's what you see nowadays: a very strong community, very strong identity. And New Zealand Muslims, as much as we have that strong identity, we are a very small and new population. So we have people that are almost first generation migrants, or 1.5ers as we call them. So these are people who came to New Zealand when they were very young. they went through the education system, but at home they're still following their parents' sort of culture. And there's almost like a culture clash. So I think maybe in the next generation or two, we're going to find a bit more cohesiveness in terms of Muslim identity. But for now, there's still a lot of work to do.
Hmm. So, what is special about Ramadan in your country?
The diversity, there's just so many of us. In terms of the cultures of the group, the population groups that make up the New Zealand Muslim population, we're looking at South African, Indian, Pakistani, Afghani, Iraqi, Turkish, Kurdish, Somalian, Ethiopian, and I mean, what the picture we're looking at right now is some of the iftars we have, or New Zealand Eat Day, and it's just literally a melting pot of all these different cultures and languages and foods and fashion, and that can be seen in all the activities that happens during the month.
Hmm. So there is an integration that happens during the massive towers or just the mosques because that's where the gathering place is. And how many mosques do you have in in New Zealand? Well, you're in Auckland, right?
I'm in Auckland. To be honest, I
Right.
don't know the exact number. Auckland definitely has the largest amount and the biggest mosques. So one of the first mosques is Masjid Umar, which is our local mosque, and that was built in the 80s, from what I recall. Um, so naturally, people would go to the mosques that they sort of affiliate to or feel that connection to. But there's a lot of community iftars that are happening throughout the month, different groups, and it's really open to anyone who wants to attend. And that's just on a smaller scale. We also have local government who puts together some iftars during the month. So, for example, a few nights ago, they booked out an entire library and they said whoever wants to come down and break the fast, do so. We don't have it on the scale that say London, New York, Australia has it yet, but we're definitely working to get there, inshallah.
Sounds wonderful. So, how do you motivate before Ramadan for this to happen?
Oh, I guess like every South African woman, we're more worried about filling up the freezer than anything else. That never changes.
Right.
Yeah, but there's always an excitement, especially for the kids. What we try to do is decorate our homes, a few days before Ramadan and get them excited about it. Um, yeah, and the kids would have, information sessions at school just to share what Ramadan is about, and same things we would do back home.
Hmm. So, what you then doing is just, our traditions are universal. So, what you're
Yes.
then doing is just adopting all of it and carrying it forth through the generations. And then one home impacts on the other home. But is there a sense of isolation at all, Farhana?
Yes. I'd be lying if I said it was all happy over time, especially as a migrant. I mean, if you look at psychology, tells you immigration is one of the hardest things you can go through as a human being. I think, and that's after war and divorce. And I tell everyone, I've spoken to a lot of people in my time here who have been, wanting to come and make that move for all the right reasons. But I always say that it will be the hardest journey of your life, giving up
Mm-hmm.
everything, everyone that you know. Simple things like the grocery store that you go to, um,
Mm-hmm.
your friends and family. You will miss people, and it takes a long time to adjust, but you will adjust. It's a process, and there's a lot of growth involved. But you can be as isolated as you choose to be. So you got to go out there. You've got to make yourself open to meeting different people, different cultures. I think that's the key of actually being successful when you move to a different country, integrating yourself
Mm-hmm.
as much as possible.
Right. And in terms of the Ramadan culture and feel and atmosphere, I think you've touched on it already in a way, but in those terms, do you feel isolated?
No, not anymore. I think initially, yes,
Mm.
but the community has grown significantly. People
Mm-hmm.
are making a bigger effort in terms of Ramadan markets, community iftars, so you do get a chance to connect with people,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps. Yeah.
All
And
right.
then Eid also, I mean, there's a lot of celebrations in the run up to Eid. So this week there's a lot of things happening. Kids will get
Mm-hmm.
excited. The image we're looking at right now is New Zealand Eid Day, which is a massive event that they have every Eid in Auckland and Wellington. It's a charity organization that's run just by volunteers, and they fundraise to put these events together. They do an amazing, amazing job. So they start with Eid Salah in the morning, and it's followed by a day of festivities and entertainment for families, food, shopping. I've never seen that in South Africa. So that's definitely something that's quite unique to what we have.
Right. I think that's also because you're a small community and you just do work harder and go the extra mile to actually make it even more special. I suppose that's the advantage of being a minority. When we come
Yes.
back, we continue our discussion with Farhana Bhamjee, who is speaking to us from New Zealand on Ramadan and Eid in her country.
Ramadan, donate your zakah to Ashraful Aid. Your zakah can help feed an orphan, support a widow, build a home for a refugee family, sponsor a HIF student, and much more. With Ashraful Aid, you can make a real difference. Visit our website at www.ashrafulaid.org to make a donation. Make your Ramadan meaningful with Ashraful Aid.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers. In fact, any any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
This Ramadan, spread the love with Sunshine D margarine, the perfect addition to your seri table for spreading, baking, and cooking. Sunshine D is rich in essential vitamin A, E, and D, and is the tastiest way to get their day or night started. Sunshine D tastes nice, no lies.
At Sentio, our Invest for Good philosophy is based on a genuine desire to use our investment skills for the benefit of broader society by investing responsibly, giving charitably, and developing talent that will transform the investment industry. Visit www.sentio-capital.com for more information about our Sharia investment products and start saving with us today. Sentio Capital. Invest for good. Sentio Capital Management is an authorized financial services provider.
In the aftermath of the tragic earthquakes in Syria and Turkey, thousands of survivors are struggling and in need of food, shelter, and life-saving aid. This Ramadan, take a closer look at the countless lives that have been turned upside down. You have the power to help. Your donation is the lifeline, a beacon of hope in an otherwise hopeless situation. Please donate today. Visit donate.unhcr.org/RamadanZA.
These days, I'm more health conscious than ever. So tonight, it's stir fry for dinner, cooked in healthy Helios pure sunflower cooking oil. Helios is pure sunflower goodness, packed with omega-6. That's good for your heart, and is approved as part of the Heart and Stroke Foundation eating plan.
Dinner's ready!
Helios, pure sunflower cooking oil. A healthy family is a happy one.
Africa Muslims Agency invites you to visit us at our new office space on 31 West Street, Houghton Estate, Johannesburg. The new AMA office will provide a space to connect, share, volunteer, and donate in the heart of the community. Find out more about how you can make an impact with your zakah this Ramadan. Office hours are 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. daily. Call us on 0100 722 262. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Farhana Bhamjee speaking to us live from New Zealand on Ramadan in New Zealand, and of course Eid. Farhana, you mentioned some of the massive towers. We even saw some pictures there. Does that happen often?
Yes, it does. So, for example, one that I went to last week, it was the 15th one they had, and it's by a group called Pearl of the Islands Foundation, which is
Mm-hmm.
a Turkish charity group. And they bring people from all over Auckland or New Zealand for an interfaith iftar, which they call the Friendship and Dialogue Iftar. So here
Mm-hmm.
you'll find a group of Muslims, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, atheists, all breaking bread and celebrating more about what makes us alike instead of what sets us apart. So
Mm-hmm.
there are some really powerful gatherings or where people come together, and there's also more of the smaller scale community events that happen at mosques or in community centers around different cities.
Mm-hmm. And any other special events that take place?
Yeah, so if you look at before Eid, the Pakistani community has the Chand Raat. Apparently, that's a tradition that they have in Pakistan, also a market.
Uh-huh.
Um, a very special thing that happens also is we have some of the big buildings or iconic buildings, as we would call in Auckland, light up the night before Eid or on Eid
Uh-huh.
night. So the Sky Tower, Eden Park Stadium, all turns green just to celebrate Eid and to stand in solidarity with Muslims. And then Eid generally is not just a one-day thing. Yeah, what
Mm.
people tend to do is celebrations continue for like 2 weeks after.
Right.
So I know in my in-laws, we have this open home sort of thing that happens. So people will invite people home literally for 2 weeks straight. It's just food and socializing nonstop. So yeah, the celebrations really do go on for a while.
Well, it just keeps up the sense of community and the spirit of being together and just food that brings people together. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, I think that's wonderful. It must be keeping you very busy though.
It does. It's a busy time of the year for us.
Yeah, but I'm sure you look forward to it, and it's a beautiful example to set for the children, and of course, the younger generation generally.
Absolutely. They look forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, when we talk about the Taraweeh Salah, coming back to Ramadan and the significance, and how is it that we as Muslims throughout the world, observe it, and we have certain things that we follow based on our laws and regulations, as it were, for this very special month. One thing that stands out, one of the things that are most significant, is the congregational prayer at night, which is of significance to all of us. We know why. How would, what importance there is the Hufaz, first of all, and accessibility to Hufaz, because what strikes me as also might be a bit challenging in a minority group, accessibility to Hafiz al-Qur'ans and them having the responsibility of performing the Taraweeh Salah. Um, what can you tell us about that?
I think we are still lucky as a small community. We have so many Hafid al-Qurans. A lot of them actually came to South Africa to the Darul Ulooms to study. So even our madrasas are run by a lot of them, which follow the South African syllabus. We have a lot of visiting scholars, students who come and read Taraweeh as well. Previously, we've had some South African boys come down and read as well. So we're quite lucky like that. In terms of accessibility, though, I think we, like a lot of other countries, the only people that might find it a bit hard are the women. We are obviously not welcome in all environments, and that is also
Mhm.
something that we are still fighting for, that sort of opportunity. Rather, yeah.
That's interesting. I'd really like to hear more about that because, yeah, we know that some of the mosques are not don't have a facility for women. How proactive are the women in New Zealand?
They're pretty proactive, especially the newer migrants. Certain communities are so open to having women around, and then others are completely not interested. So it really differs from area to area or community. Um, our area, for example, women are not encouraged to attend. It is a conversation and an argument we've spent many hours on, and sometimes you just get tired having that same conversation over and over. But there's other opportunities for our children, especially our daughters, to go through and experience that. So Eid Salah is one. Inshallah, I'll be taking my daughters this Saturday, just for them to experience that.
Tell us about the Eidgah.
So we have a few, quite a few of the mosques have it, and then New Zealand Eid Day has it. It's absolutely beautiful. I haven't been to one in a few years, so but from what I recall, it's really it's beautiful. People from all different walks of life and cultures, everyone reading together. There's also a lot of politicians that then follow up with speeches. There's a little bit of public relations always involved in those kind of environments, but it's beautiful.
So, do they have it in parks, gardens, out in the open? Yeah.
It's usually covered because of the weather can be a bit
Okay.
shaky down here.
Mm.
Maybe once we get into the summer months, we might be a bit safer. But at the moment, it will be at the New Zealand Eid Day event. So it usually kicks off at about 9 a.m. the Eidgah.
I just have a response from a viewer. We lived in Auckland for 10 years, love Ramadan and Eid there. That's very nice to know. And how does it stand out for you differently from South Africa? Although it's been a long time that you probably experienced Eid here, but how does it stand out differently for you? Apart from being away from family, of course.
Oh, I think that's the most important thing. I mean, when I think about home, it's not really the place you miss; it's more the people. So it's I was just speaking to a few friends from South Africa before this, and I said, guys, how do you feel, about Eid or Ramadan? And a lot of us still miss, the night before, just planning, everyone excited, all the kids getting into the Eid pajamas and that build up towards it, and all the
Yeah.
cooking and the preparing, and just having that extended family. It's different. It's different. Appreciate it if you have it.
Again, this listener or viewer is Mr. Hussein, I think. In 2000, he says we started the annual Eid tea event amongst the South African community there.
So yes, there are quite a few annual events with the South African community because we've gone so big. So I know there's also a Eid lunch, and then there's also an Eid tea that I know some other people hosting. So there's quite a few gatherings because, like I said, the community has grown substantially. It's almost in the thousands. That's how many. Maybe not thousands, but there's quite a lot of. Yeah.
What I'm seeing here is that the South Africans usually just take South Africa with them wherever they go.
Yes,
And
they do.
it's just wonderful. There's a South African here telling us that, and the South Africans make sure they get together. That's what keeps community together anyway. And I think then for me, from my perspective, what I'm seeing here then is that there's this sense of wanting to hold on to whatever we valued back here, if you like, and
Yes.
carried forth there. And do you see other people from other diasporas practicing that and
Abs-
bringing their traditions back into a foreign country, as it were?
Absolutely. I think when you really look at it, it's almost this fear of losing who you are and where you come from that people hold on to so tightly. Those cultures, those values, and sometimes it might not be a good thing. I always encourage people. I personally have quite a diverse group of friends, not just South Africans. There's so many people out there. But definitely communities are holding on very tight to what they consider to be their special, or what makes them, and it becomes harder for kids as they grow up because they have the culture that they grew up with, that they're being taught at home, and then the normal Kiwi culture, and trying to find their space in this whole mix is can be quite challenging for them.
Yeah, in terms of one's identity, hey?
Yes.
And it's language and culture that actually manages to uphold one's identity. And of course, food.
Oh yes.
So so when it comes to the food, what is special around Eid in your country in terms of the food?
Oh, there's so much. So In New Zealand Eid Day, there's always different stalls, and you've got Palestinian food, Iraqi food, Malaysian food. So it literally, we all go there hungry. We forget about breakfast and we just go there and explore all the different cuisines. We don't have the big breakfast like we do in South Africa. I remember my mum used to whip up a leg of lamb first thing in the morning, and I'm like, whoa, I would never do that here. But it's very interesting that the foods that we get that we're allowed to experience.
So, in other words, what you're saying is straight after Eidgah, you go to the food festival, as it were.
Definitely, yes.
Oh, I think I would love to try one of those, so I don't have to cook.
Yes.
No, I'm
exactly.
kidding. But it's what brings us together anyway and makes that home atmosphere just a bit more warmer for the day, right? But
Yeah.
it's interesting that you would, everyone that's there, Muslims from all over the world, if you like, or different parts of the world, that are there to bring their culture in and, share it, which is wonderful. That's the whole, theme or idea or the value behind Ramadan and, of course, Eid.
Yes, and of Islam, about humanity and being one community, and not focusing on the differences between us. So yeah, we're a very passionate community. A lot of people very passionate about social right issues, because there's a lot of people that come here as refugees that have been persecuted, come with a lot of trauma. So I mean, I find that there's a really good community that rallies around these individuals, and to support them.
Farhana Bhamjee, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. We wish you and your family a very, very wonderful and blessed Eid, inshallah, and this last few days of Ramadan. May Allah accept all our du'as, your du'as, and may the Muslims in New Zealand grow stronger. And inshallah, we together anyway, we're united as Muslims, no matter where we are in the world. So on behalf of South Africans, we wish you and your family a blessed Eid, and again, a Ramadan, a fulfilling and enlightening Ramadan. Beg your pardon.
Thank you, Najma. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hope you have a lovely Eid with your family as well.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Next up, we visit Brisbane and find out about Eid and Ramadan in Brisbane. Our guest is Yunus Muhammad.